was New York versus New York last night. The Nets getting the best of the Knicks in Brooklyn, but the win wasn't without some controversy. Julius Randle called for a travel, although it appeared Kyrie Irving stripped him of the ball. Randle, not happy with the call, was held back by teammates, and he voiced his frustration. Max Kellerman, were the Knicks robbed by a bad call?
They did. The Knicks got robbed last night. And don't tell me about how many plays there are in a basketball game and you have chances. I get all that. But let's be realistic with what we're dealing with. See those dudes on the Knicks like Julius Randle? They're there as consolation prizes because the Knicks couldn't get the Nets guys to take their money. That's why they have Julius Randle. They have the leftovers, the Knicks, and are trying to make do. The Knicks have no margin for error, which is what Thibodeau said after the game. Mind you, not that I have any feelings for the Knicks anymore, as you know. No feelings for the Knicks. I'm just saying, the reality is, without a margin for error, you cannot afford, especially playing that Brooklyn offense, to have calls go against you. Now, what really bothers me, guys, and the reason I say robbed is this. The refs were challenged on a bad call, right before that play, where they trapped, because, by the way, the Knicks, they're trapping full court? What is this, 1986, and Rick Pitino is the coach? They're trapping full in the NBA, and it's kind of working? Boy, that's a hustling defense right there. I got to give it to them. They're playing with passion. They're connected, the whole thing. So they challenged the call because it was a turnover, not a foul when they trapped Joe Harris. And the refs, to their credit, reviewed it and said, yup, we got it wrong, and overturned the call. So let me ask you something. Why don't you review the call when Julius Randle, obviously that was a bad whistle. Yes, Kyrie got his hand on it. Yup, he stripped him. Nope, it was not up and down. It was not a travel. So, by the way, review the call and tell me that I'm wrong about that. But to not review it right after a review, overturned a call? Why wouldn't you do that? Are you embarrassed by the fact that the first review worked? Is it hubris on the part of the refs? Does the league not want a game where you have to scrap for every point? It's not as aesthetically pleasing? It's just so messed up that a team that's as scrappy as this Knicks team is, and you know me, I'm not a Knicks fan anymore. But at any rate, against a team as talented, you see, Stephen A., the show that Kyrie put on again, as this Nets team scraps and scrapes and claws all the way there, and it's going to be a game, and maybe Randle sends it to overtime, and maybe the Knicks win. But to be denied that based on not just a bad whistle, but the refusal to review the play is a robbery. Knicks got robbed.
There's so much to teach you about the game of basketball. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. I'm going to try to just explain this to you, okay? Julius Randle has a minimal amount of time. He goes up to attempt a three-point shot. Kyrie Irving gets his hand on the ball. You're supposed to drop the ball before your feet comes down on the ground. Otherwise, it's a travel. Period. He held on to the ball and came down with both feet before he let the ball go. That is clearly in the rule book. It is a travel, and that is that. But having said that, let me be very, very clear as a diehard Knicks fan who isn't a turncoat, a trader, who should have his New York tag stripped, okay? Get out of town. I told you to get out of town. I told you to get out of town, okay? You're a traitor. But that's all right, because we don't need you. We don't need people like you, Max Kellerman. Knicks fans, we deal here. Let me say, you're pathetic. Pathetic. But here's the deal. I was very, very happy last night, despite the fact that they lost the game. There were so many elements in this game that made me. Hold on, where's my tissue? I'm getting emotional right now. I mean, it was so special. First of all, Max, they were down 18. I got it. Thank you so much, but I got my one. But I need both because it's an emotional moment for me right now. Don't interrupt me right here. My Knicks, first of all, Max, they were down 18, but they scratched and they go, the number one defense in the NBA, number one, is the New York Knicks. Now, I understand they're only scoring 105.3 points a game, okay? That ranks like 28th. But they're surrendering the exact same amount of points, which is number one. This defense is scrap I saw Spike Lee there. It reminded me of the days when the Knicks were relevant and Spike Lee was there cheering them on. Come on, let's go, let's go. It was a beautiful thing to see. I saw my man Worldwide West, William Wesley, behind the Knicks bench going bananas when a foul was called against Frank Ntilikina. He didn't like that. He was very, very upset about that. We know Thibodeau is feisty, okay? And then to see Julius Randle, although he did travel, and I believe it was the right call for him to have attitude, for him to be restrained, for him to have to be held back. Even Wes and the rest of his crew was trying to hold him back. Why, Max? Why? Because they had a chance. They're fighting. They're scrapping. And I'm going to tell you something right now, Max Kellerman. I'm going to tell you something right now because this is very, very important to say. I don't believe there's any way. Remember, I picked Brooklyn to win the chip. All right, I'm on the record. I picked Brooklyn to win the chip because I don't think Anthony Davis is going to be held 100% for the rest of the year. And I think that's the only chance to stop the Brooklyn Nets from winning it all, okay? Right now, they're the favorites. If the New York Knicks were to meet the Brooklyn Nets in the playoffs, do you have any idea how much pressure would be on Brooklyn? They had everything to lose. Could you imagine you chose, this is the Mecca, and instead of choosing the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden, okay, you chose Brooklyn, and you
Smart
go there.
choice.
You go. I'm not sweating it. I think Sean Marks is an exceptional executive. I think Steve Nash is doing a hell of a job. I think with Steve Nash and his staff, led by Mike D'Antoni, is doing a hell of a job.
I bet you Dr. J doesn't get hassled by security at Barclays.
That's right. All of that's true. But let me tell you this. If the New York Knicks were to play the Brooklyn Nets, and that became a series, could you imagine the pressure on Brooklyn? Could you imagine if KD and Kyrie, could you, I'm just saying.
That's without KD last night, brother.
I totally understand.
That's with Emmanuel quickly getting taken out with Randall and everybody at the, what's up with the substitutions, Tim?
I'm asking you to fantasize. I'm asking you to fantasize for a second.
Yeah.
Can I be allowed to fantasize? If the New York Knicks turn that into a series, and we actually had headlines. Let's say, for example, hypothetically, the series was tied 2-2, and Brooklyn had to worry. I mean, oh my God, you're talking about a nightmare that would never. I mean, could you imagine if KD and Kyrie would have lost to the Knicks in the playoffs? Oh my God.
That's why it's fantasy. You're living in fantasy.
It's only a fantasy because I picked the Brooklyn Nets to win it all.
Let me say something.
Oh my Lord.
I
love what I'm seeing.
Your whole thing about you want to let go of the ball before your feet come down, the other player
it's a rule, man.
touches it. You can't,
it's a rule.
But the point is, they didn't even review it.
It doesn't matter. Put that in review.
Yes, it does.
I saw it. Did you see that? He came down with both feet with his ball in his hand. With the ball in his hand.
Review the play. Just review the play.
But why?
The official.
Why? I don't think it's necessary.
Let's watch that play again.
Look at it. He comes down and the ball is in his hands. Clearly.
Yeah. After Kyrie.
That is a travel.
After Kyrie touched the ball.
Doesn't matter. He's got to come to. He's got to let go of the ball. He's got to let go of the ball.
He did let go of the ball. He caught the ball from Kyrie.
Watch. Thank you. Yeah, that is a travel.
Maybe that might be a travel, but the refs didn't even review it.
Max.
The refs didn't even review it.
You know, I know my boxing.
Yeah.
But I would never, ever think that I know more boxing than you. It's time for you to fall back to take the lesson I'm giving you, bro. This is basketball, and I'm telling you, it's a travel.
Upon further review, it did look like it's
Thank you very much.
First.
It's a travel.
But review it.
Okay? No. You don't need to review that. Waste time.
By the way,
it's a beautiful moment. New York Knicks.
They reviewed the trap.
Look at me. New York Knicks. You're very good. You're very good, you. You're making me proud right now.
Oh, my God.
That feistiness,
that fight.
That's what I'm talking about here. I'm very proud.
It would almost be
I'm very proud of my Knicks right now. I'm very proud. Tom Thibodeau.
KD didn't exist. This could actually be something.
Tom Thibodeau.
I know.
Scott
Stephen,
Perry,
you're excited.
Worldwide
you might not even need an LA break. If the Knicks got good, you might be able to spend a whole month in New York with us.
You know
what? I love how excited you are.
I will come back.
Right.
I will come back from LA for a playoff series.
It's going to be a short series.
This is a beautiful moment,
I know.
man.
I know.
Special.
I know. You'd be standing in the tunnel. All right, we got to go.